The mailman's van was found empty, the engine still warm, the radio crackling with static that never faded. Inside, the usual stack of letters had vanished, replaced by a single blood-stained envelope, its wax seal broken, addressed to every household in town. The blood was dry, dark as rust, and the envelope bore no return address. Only the name of the town itself, scrawled in jagged, uneven script. No one had seen him that morning. No one had heard his usual knock on the door. Just the silence of a suburban street, the kind that had always felt safe, now thick with the weight of something unseen. The post office called it a disappearance, a missing person case, but the town didn't believe in missing people. They believed in things that vanished without a trace, things that left behind only questions and the faint smell of iron in the air. By noon the mailboxes were empty, the envelopes lying in the gutters like warnings, like omens. The townspeople gathered in front of the post office, their voices hushed, their eyes darted to the empty van, to the blood-stained envelope left behind. No one knew what it meant, but they all felt it, a slow, creeping dread, that had no name, no explanation, only the certainty that something had changed, something had been taken, and something was waiting for them to notice. By dusk, the whispers had begun. They started as faint, almost imperceptible murmurs like the rustle of leaves in the wind. But soon they grew louder, more insistent, curling through the streets like smoke. Some said they heard their own names. Others claimed they heard the voices of the mailman calling, pleading, warning. The town's children stopped talking about their mail, and the adults began to lock their doors at night, even though no one had been robbed. The post office, once a place of routine and quiet efficiency, now buzzed with speculation. Its fluorescent lights flickering like the eyes of something watching. Delaney, the widow who lived at the end of Maple Lane, swore she saw a figure in the van's driver's seat. Its face was obscured by shadows, its hands gripped the wheel as if it were being pulled by something unseen. The next morning, her mailbox was empty. The envelope she had received the day before was gone, and the blood-stained wax seal had been wiped clean, as if someone had tried to erase the message. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed the townspeople home, curling around their ears like a cold breath, whispering promises and threats in a language that wasn't quite human. The mailman had vanished, but the town had not. It had only begun to listen, and somewhere, in the silence between the whispers, something was learning to speak. The whispers led them to the old library, a crumbling brick building at the edge of town, where the town's history was kept in brittle pages and dusty tomes. The librarian, a gaunt man named Mr. Holloway, had been there for decades, his face lined with the weight of secrets. When the townspeople came asking questions, he only smiled, his eyes dark and knowing. "You're not the first to wonder about the mailman," he said, his voice like rusted hinges. "But you're the first to listen." He led them through the dim aisles, past shelves of yellowed newspapers and faded photographs, until they reached a locked room at the back. The key was a silver ring on his finger, and when he turned it, the door creaked open like a grave inside. The air was thick with the scent of mildew, and something older, something that had not been disturbed in generations. On the walls were maps, not of the town, but of the surrounding woods, marked with symbols and names that had no meaning to the townspeople. At the center of the room was a stone altar, its surface carved with the same symbols. Mr. Holloway placed a hand on it, and the symbols glowed faintly, as if stirred from sleep. Every year, he whispered, the mailman was taken. Not by men, but by the town itself. A ritual, a pact, a way to keep the darkness at bay. And now, the darkness is waking again. The children vanished one by one, their absence marked only by empty backpacks and unanswered calls. Parents found their kids' toys left in the same spot, where they'd last been seen, their beds untouched, their voices echoing in the silence. The town's fear grew like mold, spreading through the streets like a slow, creeping rot. The mailman's name was whispered now, not as a man, but as a warning. And then, on the night the last child disappeared, the town's oldest residents gathered in the square, their faces lined with the weight of a secret they had kept for generations. They spoke of the pact, a ritual once performed to keep the darkness from rising. The mailman, they said, was not a man at all, but a vessel. A sacrifice offered to the hollows, spirits that had once roamed the woods, bound by the town's ancestors to protect them from something far worse. The ritual had been broken, the balance shattered, and now the hollows were waking. The mailman's fate was not death, but transformation. He had become one with the curse, his body dissolving into the earth, his spirit bound to the woods, now feeding the hunger of the hollows. And as the first snow fell, the town's children began to disappear, not taken by men, but by the spirits that had once been their protectors. The mailman had never been lost. He had always been here, waiting, watching, and now, he was leading them home.